You wake up at 7:43, not because you set an alarm, because the guy in the next room has work and the walls are thin and his shower runs for exactly 11 minutes and the pipes make a sound like a decision being made. You're 24 years old or you're 34 and restarting after something that took 3 years to recover from. The number on the screen is the same either way. Net worth, 0. Some mornings it reads slightly negative. Breakfast is eggs. You have eggs because eggs are $3.19 a dozen and one of the few foods where the math still works. You have no coffee because you ran out Thursday and $9 for a bag felt unreasonable against what is coming due on Tuesday. You drink water, the kitchen is shared, someone left a pan on the burner again and you clean it without saying anything because you cannot afford the friction. The rent is $780 a month. Your share. The full unit is $1,560. 2 bedrooms, 3 people, a city where that is considered manageable. The third person sleeps in what is technically a living room divided by a bookshelf. You do not discuss this. Everyone is fine with it because everyone has to be fine with it. By 10 a.m., you are on the bus, $2.75 each way. You're going to a second job or to a laundromat that charges $4.50 per wash and $1.75 per dry cycle, or to a grocery store 2 neighborhoods over because the one nearby charges $1.40 more for the same can of tomatoes. And you have done that math so many times it lives in your body now. This is Sunday, the free day. Your phone bill is $45 and it is due Wednesday. Your checking account holds $112. The rent clears Friday. The window between Wednesday and Friday is the part of the week you do not explain to people who do not already know what it feels like. You have considered turning off notifications. You have not turned off notifications because not knowing is worse. Lunch is whatever is in the apartment. You eat standing up. There is a text from a friend about a brunch place, $18 plates, and you type 3 different responses before you say you have something going on. The $18 is not the issue, and it is entirely the issue. It is $18 and then the bus and then the tip, and then you are back below the number that keeps you from an overdraft fee, which is $34, which is more than the brunch. In the afternoon, you think about the doctor. You have thought about the doctor for 6 weeks. The copay is $40 and the timing is never right, and you file it again under soon. By evening, the mental load of Monday has already arrived. You do not call it anxiety. You call it being realistic. You go over the week in your head, the shifts, the due dates, the distances, the costs. You do not do this because you are a planner. You do it because the margin for error is 0 and Sunday is the only time you have to make sure you have not miscounted. You wake up at 8:15. The pipes still make noise, but this morning you let it be background. You do not have to be anywhere until you decide to be somewhere. That is new. It is small and it is new and you notice it. Breakfast is eggs again, but there is also coffee. A bag of ground coffee, $9.49, purchased without the calculation that used to follow it. You drink it at the kitchen table instead of standing over the sink. The $10,000 sits in a high yield savings account earning roughly 4%. That is $33 a month in interest. It will not change your life. What it changes is the speed of certain decisions. Last month, the car needed a front brake job. $1,180 installed. You paid it on a Tuesday and did not restructure the rest of the month around the damage. That is the entire point of the $10,000. It is not a number you spend. It is a number you keep so that $1,180 repairs do not become $1,180 emergencies. The Sunday math now has different textures. A $60 grocery run that includes things you actually want, not just the minimum viable version of dinner. A $25 gym membership you use 3 times a week. A $35 takeout order from the Thai place on Clement that you do not split with anyone or justify to anyone. But the new anxiety is specific and it is real. The buffer must stay intact. Every time you pull from it, every $200 for a tire, every $150 for a prescription, the number drops below a threshold you have decided matters and the old feeling returns immediately. You check the balance more than you check anything else. The fear is not poverty in the abstract. The fear is the $112 checking account. You know exactly what that felt like. The $10,000 is the distance between you and that, and you guard it like it is structural, because it is. A friend invites you to a concert. Tickets are $65. You sit with the question longer than anyone without this specific history would understand. You go, you come home and check the balance before you go to sleep. That is where you are. Not comfortable, cushioned. There is a difference and you know it exactly. You wake up at 7:40 without an alarm. Not because you set your schedule that way, Because your body has learned that Sunday has a shape now and the shape starts early. Breakfast is real. Eggs from the farmer's market, $6.50 a dozen. Greek yogurt, the point, 50 a dozen. Greek yogurt, the good kind. Coffee from the bag you ordered online, $18, which used to feel indulgent and now just feels like breakfast. You eat at the table with your phone face down. You read that this is the correct way to start a Sunday. You do it correctly. The $100,000 looks like this. Roth, IRA, $41,200. Taxable brokerage, $34,600. Emergency fund, $18,400. Cash, $5,800. You are max-inch, $1,800. You are maxing the Roth at $6,500 annually and putting $400 a month into the brokerage on top of that. The number compounds quietly in the background of a life that still looks mostly ordinary. You rent. The apartment costs $2,200 a month. You have run the mortgage calculation 11 times. A comparable purchase in your zip code runs $3,900 all in after taxes, insurance, and maintenance reserve. The $1,700 monthly difference goes into the brokerage. You are aware this is a decision with a real cost and a real logic, and you hold both of those things at the same time without resolving them. The weekend trip last month cost $510. A friend's birthday, 4 hours north, an Airbnb split 2 ways. Dinner at a place with a menu that doesn't list prices on one side. You did not decline. You also did not stop tracking. Here's what the Sunday worry looks like now. Not the electric bill, not the brake job. You think about your parents. Your mother is 61. She has not mentioned retirement savings directly, but you have done the math on her behalf and the number is not comfortable. You think about your trajectory at work, whether the current role compounds or just pays. You think about the fact that you are eating well and sleeping 8 hours and still feel like you are behind something, some pace, some version of the plan that is always slightly ahead of where you actually are. You skip the brunch invitation. 45 minutes away, $75 minimum, 3 hours you won't get back. You text back a rain check you mean. That is the optimization loop. It is useful. It is also relentless. You are not certain yet where it ends. You wake up at 7:15. The cleaner came Thursday. The lawn service came Friday, $60, and you did not think about either of those things once this weekend. That is new. That is the first real signal that something has shifted. Breakfast is made by someone else, technically. The meal prep service charges $F or teen per meal. Sunday morning, you pull 2 portions from the refrigerator and eat at the kitchen table with your partner or your kids or both. The food is correct. The time it did not cost you is also correct. The million looks like this. Portfolio, $680,000 across the 401k, Roth, and taxable brokerage. Home equity, $290,000. Cash and reserves, $34,000. Net worth, approximately $1,004,000. The number is real and mostly illiquid and somewhat theoretical until you actually need it. You are aware of this. A bad 2 weeks in the market moves a portfolio by $20,000 in either direction. You check once on Sunday morning and then you stop checking. That is a discipline you built deliberately because the alternative was watching a number oscillate and calling that information. The housing cost in a high-cost city is $7,400 a month. Mortgage, $1,400 a month. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance reserve. You ran the number before you signed. You still run it sometimes. The Sunday worry is different now. Not the bill, not the trajectory. You're thinking about the cousin who emailed asking for a loan. You're thinking about the work colleague who wants 40 minutes to pick your brain, which always means longer, which always means you leave the call feeling subtracted from. You think about how to hold a boundary without becoming the person who stopped being available. You have not solved this. You are not certain it is solvable. What you do not do today. Open email before noon. Agree to the obligation that arrived Friday framed as low lift. Check the portfolio a 3rd time. The attention is the asset now, more than the money. The money took years to accumulate. The attention can be spent in an afternoon and nothing in the account replenishes it. You protect the morning. You protect it the same way you once protected the $400 monthly deposit. Automatically, completely, without negotiating with yourself each time. You wake up at 7:45. The house is 4,200 square feet and someone else manages most of it. The house manager works 12 hours a week at $48 an hour. She handles the vendors, the scheduling, the follow-up calls you would otherwise forget until they became problems. You pay $576 a week for the version of your life that does not include arguing with the HVAC contractor about availability. Breakfast is eggs from the farmer's market order that arrives Saturday. Your partner makes coffee in a machine that costs $1,400 and produces a result that justifies the number every single morning. The kids are 10 and 7. The nanny works weekdays and occasional Sundays at $34 an hour. This Sunday, she is not here. You are the parent today, fully by design. The calendar said so on Tuesday. The net worth looks like this: investment portfolio, $3,100,000 across taxable accounts, retirement accounts, and a small position in a private fund you cannot exit for another 3 years. Home equity, $1,600,000. Cash and liquid reserves, $180,000. Alternatives and other, $120,000. Total approximately $5 million. The private fund position reminds you monthly that liquidity is a feature you once underpriced. Lunch is at a restaurant you made a reservation for on Wednesday. The bill for 4, with wine, will be $480. You do not split it. You are always the one who does not split it. That is a permanent social condition at this net worth that nobody prepared you for and nobody discusses directly. The personal trainer comes at $40. $130 for the session. You have canceled twice this month. The session still billed. That is the arrangement, and it is the correct arrangement because the alternative is canceling without consequence and then never going. What you do not do today: post anything that signals the trip you took last week. Agree to the family member's ask that arrived Thursday, worded carefully to make no sound like cruelty. Let the kids' activities schedule colonize the entire afternoon, or fix the garage shelf yourself to prove something to no one. The coordinator of your life is still you. The staff execute the calendar. You still have to build it. You still have to mean it. The $5 million did not change that. It clarified it. You wake up at 8:10 in a house that has a name, not a nickname, an actual registered name on the deed and in the property trust. The primary residence is 11,400 square feet. There is a second property in another time zone currently occupied by the estate manager and a rotating maintenance crew. The monthly staffing burn across both properties runs between $52,000 and $71,000 depending on whether the seasonal staff are active. You stop finding that number surprising approximately 2 years after it became true. Breakfast is prepared. You did not ask for it. You mentioned at some point that you prefer poached eggs on Sundays, and the preference was logged and has been honored every Sunday since. The full-time personal assistant earns $118,000 annually. The estate manager earns $165,000. These are not luxuries. They are the operating cost of a life that would otherwise require 40 hours a week of your attention to prevent from becoming a crisis. The morning holds 3 things that arrive Friday and cannot wait until Monday. A board matter at a company where you hold a significant position. A legal question about a philanthropic vehicle being restructured. A text from a sibling worded with the specific precision of someone who has thought carefully about how to ask for something large. You read all 3. You respond to none of them until Tuesday. That is not avoidance. That is custody of the only Sunday you will have this week. Lunch is at home. Private security costs between $140 and $220 per hour when active, and today it is not active because you chose a Sunday where no one knows where you are. That choice required 4 other people to coordinate in silence. That is what the choice actually costs. The afternoon is with your children. This is scheduled. The fact that it is scheduled does not make it less real. It makes it more real because it survived everything else that tried to take the slot. What you do not do today: take the call, approve the proposal, explain the trust structure to someone who will misunderstand it, or perform contentment for an audience of any size. Every number in this video was a Sunday waiting inside it. The question was never which number. It was always which morning. Who made the coffee, who was in the room, and what you decided not to carry into it. Find that Sunday first. Build toward it deliberately. The rest is math.